Hello. What now? What about it? I didn't get a picture. Oh, you have to go to the website. We did it. Let's see. It's myattendance dot. Yeah. Hold up here. Myattendance.today from your phone. Yeah. You got a QR in here before that, right? That same one should work. Should work. Yeah. Should work. Do what? Yeah. Yeah. Myattendance.today. We used it last week, right?
I wasn't here.
Okay. All right. Make sure when you bring it up, save that QR code to your phone. And the email I used was your S number. So if you put in the letter S and your 7-digit ID, that'll get you in. Hello.
How's it going?
Good. How you doing?
Not too bad.
Tap the green button. Have the QR in front of the camera. It should. There you
Cool.
go.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you are. Did you find yours? You can just go to that app if you want to, that website, myattendance.today, and just use your S, the letter S, and your 7-digit ID. What?
Snapshot of the screen.
Yes, so you need to your S number.
Oh,
you can screenshot it over.
Yeah.
I apologize.
Here.
Here. I'll turn it off when we get started.
We sign in with the bookkeep or
Do what now?
we sign in with our SID?
I would log in with that CIS277. It's quicker in here.
Okay.
Yeah, you can log in with your S number. It just takes forever. It takes like 7 minutes or something. It's better to log in with that ID on the board. It will. Ooh. Those just coming in, make sure and check in with your QR code, the one you got last week, so we get started. If you need help, let me know. I can help you. The check-in link on the home page, if you didn't save it to your phone. Hey, Laura.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good, good.
The challenge on our assignments, are we going to update that then?
Do what now?
For the challenge on our assignments for lit?
Yeah, just let me know when you submit. A few didn't, and so I'll talk about that. So just make sure when you say done on the assignment, if you did update or do something extra, just let me know when you submit it.
I'm saying the challenges aren't up for the future assignments already.
No. In fact, I'm going to change it from here on out to make it more wide open. I do with all my other programming classes. Instead of a challenge, it'll be just a modification. If you want to modify and do anything extra you want to do outside the scope of the assignment, that way you kind of have free reign to do what you want. I think it's going to be better to do it that way. But no, I'm still updating them each week. Doing it right now, actually. So, yeah, students like that better. They like to have the freedom to do whatever, It's the challenge. Challenge is okay, but freedom to do whatever you want to do beyond the scope of the assignment seems to be more popular anyway. Hello.
Am I supposed to hold a certain way? I forgot.
Portrait should work fine. Move it over a little bit. There we go. And I'd save it to your camera, save it to your photo on your phone, probably easier. Or take a screenshot, you can do that too. Did you figure out your laptop issue?
I didn't. I figured out the laptop issue. I did not figure out the 73 for tricolon. You're supposed to use like we're supposed to like get the like a user to input a letter.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then
I
it goes
care.
through. I can't figure out how to get the input from the user.
Okay.
Like-
Did you look at the example I gave you?
I did.
Okay.
Because that just showed how to like hard code a letter and say like, I put in like C or I guess I should put K, but like
Right.
I put in like I can get it to like accept letters that you like just put into the code. I can't get them to accept letters that like.
And you're using the
typing
C and
into
get
a
line?
keyboard.
You want to use that because otherwise it'll skip it and eat it.
Okay.
So look at that
Okay.
example. I put it in the comment, the C and get line.
Okay.
But yeah, send me right after and I'll help you with it.
Yeah, I had to re-download Android Studio.
Oh,
That was
yeah, I've had to do it multiple times. Yeah. Brian, how's everybody doing tonight? Okay. Well, if you didn't get checked in, you can check in before you leave tonight. It'll still be up here. All right. Well, get out your trusty mobile devices. We're going to do another Kahoot. 9 questions over week 2 content, week 3 reading. This is not graded, just for fun. To see what you know. If you've not read, most of you have already had C++, CIS277, so you should be fine. But if not, just a refresher here. So go ahead and log in. Naughty names beware, you will be kicked out. You can be creative though, for sure. I like it. $17 is what we're looking for. And you can play this from your computer as well. You don't have to use your mobile device. You don't have a mobile device, you can't use one, so you can use your computer as well and log in. Some cool names there. Dog bounty hunter. I gotta take a picture of this one. All right, 3 more. Who was it that did Bandit? Who did Bandit? How'd you get the B? Okay, yeah. Reference so you can use your emoji keyboard from now on your names. Cool. One more, then we're off to the races. If you don't know how to get in or need help, have your neighbor help you. You're more glad to help you, I'm sure. There we go. All right. So again, this is on chapter 7 of the C++, and then also a couple other chapters on the PDF C++. Scope is going to be the first questions. The area in the programming where a name is binded to a memory area. Life scope variable. $20 seconds. Scope is the correct answer. And scope, remember, you can have a local scope or a global scope outside of any of the functions for variables. And then variables are used for scope, but scope pertains to how a variable can use, either globally throughout your program or locally in a function. Snot is number 1 on the leaderboard. Again, root, Sam, Fleeby, or Flebby, or Fleeb, sorry, Fleeb, and then somebody. The time under runtime when the memory area is valid and usable. Life scope variable. Life scope variable. Life is correct. So scope is where it's available, and life is when it's available. So we have snot, Sam, root, squirrel, and Fleeb. Up 8 places, Ulicard is the highest climber. Blank names, variables, functions, type, classes are defined outside of any block. Local, global, regional. Keyword outside. Global is the answer. Local, remembers inside of a function only. Global, outside of a function. And it can be variables, function types, classes. Sam, root, squirrel, somebody, Fleb or Fleeb. 6 players have reached answer streak 3, whatever that means. The for statement allows you to execute a block of code blank number of times. Specified, unlimited, 10. Specified is the answer. And we'll see some examples of that tonight in our C compilation of code. Sam, root, squirrel, somebody, speedy. Ooh, Fleeb's out. 5 players have reached answer streak 3. For counter equals 0, counter less than 6, plus plus counter, how many times will this loop? 4, 5, 6. Starts with 0, remember. All right. 6 is the answer. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Squirrel, root, Sam, Tim, somebody. Up 4 places, wild is the highest climber. Well, sounds like a song. All right. The blank statement evaluates the value of an expression and branches to one of the case labels. While switch 4. Switch statement is correct. And remember, switch statement, you have multiple different branches you can hit amongst the logic. Example would be like, grade level. Say you're an app is grading papers or whatever, and has cases for A, B, C, D, or F. Squirrel, root, buddy, wild, and dog. 3 players have reached answer streak. If switch, if none is found, then blank is used. Break, default, lose. None is found, then blank label is used. Break, default, lose. Yep, default is the correct answer. Squirrel, root, buddy, wild, snot. Nice. Fleeb is back with an answer streak of 3. Woo! Switch. If the break is not there, execution stops before the next statement. True or false? If break is not there, execution stops before the next statement. False. And this one here, if the break is not there, execution will go to the next statement. It won't stop. It will actually go to the next statement. The break isn't there. Squirrel, root, wild, somebody, Fleeb. Who created C++ language? Last question. Linus Torvalds, Bill Gates, or Bjarne Strostrup. Key on the image, hopefully. And so, yeah, Bjarne is the creator of C++. I actually have him in the root of our course. I'll show you in a second. So winners, all of you are winners, by the way. But Squirrel, Root, and Wild is the top 3. So good job. All right. And we'll do that each week. I want to make note of myrbc.org. That is our course website and our course division website. The reason I want to make note of it is if you've not bookmarked this site on your phone or your tablet or whatever it is you normally carry around with you, which I'm guessing is your phone, most of you, bookmark this website, which is our division website. Also, you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter. At the bottom, it has links to our Facebook, Twitter accounts. And the reason I mention that is, an example, jobs is one area that would be helpful to you, maybe your internships. I'll go there real quick to show you some of the recent job postings. I'll go down to IT internships. Tycomics is one posting, and Burpee Museum is another one we'll go over. So Tycomics is looking for a infrastructure support person, totally intern. You have to have 0 experience. All they're wanting is somebody to say, they say, do this, and you do it, basically. And so they'll teach you whatever you don't know. And it's just basic IT support. They are in Loves Park, and so not too far. They work around your school schedule. And it pays $12 an hour. It's pretty good for an internship, right? And Tim, the CEO, is a really nice guy, the guys that work there. It'd be a good school job anyway. Good experience for you. And again, you might not ever think about going into networking, but it'd be a good part-time job while you're at school. And they do all things there, by the way. They do networking, programming, consulting, and so it'd be good. It'd be a good opportunity. If you're interested, email k.cooper@rockvalleycollege.edu. She is Rock Valley College. Kelly Cooper is Rock Valley College's job placement person. The next one I want to go over is Burpee. Ann Wirt is the director of Burpee. She's looking for an internship for web and photography and other, whatever other might be that she wants you to help with, kind of like with the Tycomics. This one is an unpaid position. Believe it or not, Ann herself is unpaid as a director of Burpee Museum. She's doing it out of the kindness of her own heart. And so, but you do get, for both of these internships I'm mentioning, even though one's paid, one's unpaid, you can get a 1 credit internship here at Rock Valley for working at least 75 hours that semester. And the experience too is going to be, bar none, that you're not going to be able to pay for that type of experience. Both positions, this one here, be working with WordPress. If you've never played with WordPress, we can help you learn WordPress, which is pretty simple to learn. You'll do updates in WordPress, and then also in the back room in Burpee, there's thousands of artifacts that never reach the floor just because they don't have room to reach the floor, evidently. And she walked me back in there and showed me. I was amazed at all the stuff back there. But anyway, the student will be taking pictures with a camera initially, but they're writing a grant for a $60,000 3D camera or 3D device that you place the artifacts on. It'll 3D image it and then put it on the website for educational folks to access it, for like K through 12, which would be kind of cool. Be able to do kind of like, her thought is to kind of do like an augmented reality in a K through 12 classroom, to where you can actually bring up an app you guys will work on. Be able to bring in that dinosaur bone or that whatever it might be, the moccasins or whatever she has back in there, or some eagle, and bring it literally into the classroom with augmented reality. iOS is really the only one right now. The iPhone is the only one device that does augmented reality within the device itself. So she's looking at partnering. She's already partnering with a local company called Trek Design to do an augmented reality tour within Burpee. So you'd be a part of that whole process of, which I think would be pretty cool. It's the only one in the nation that's doing augmented reality in a museum of that type. Ann has an education background. She also worked at Field Museum, if you've ever been there, in Chicago. She worked there for a number of years. Very intelligent, very passionate about what she does, and but needs help, and she doesn't have any money. And so I said, well, hey, Rock Valley College students would be good for you. And so it'd be a good experience for them. So if you yourself are interested in a basic web photography job, let me know. It is unpaid, but again, what you would experience would be beneficial to you wherever you might go to Rock Valley or beyond. But if you've ever been to Burpee, tons of local leaders go there and company leaders go there and CIOs and CEOs. So you'll be able to rub shoulders with a whole bunch of people. And you get to play around with some pretty cool artifacts if you've ever been interested in that type of stuff. So how many have been to Burpee before? Been to Burpee? Okay. I'm amazed how many people have not been to Burpee in Rockford, just never been. So even if you're not interested, be interested. It'd be cool for you to go to Burpee, just kind of visit Burpee if you don't know what it's about. The website's there. You can visit burpee.org to look at the website, and kind of it'll tell you what Burpee's all about, what kind of tours they have there. And then if you're interested, email myself so I can connect you with Ann, which she's emailing me every day, like 3 or 4 times a day, going, found anybody yet? Found anybody yet? And so help me to help Ann to get this position filled. If you're not interested, you probably know somebody that might be. Shoot them an email with this link, if you wouldn't mind, so we can get it filled. Questions on that? Okay. You can come up and see me afterwards if you have any questions. The other jobs I make mention here that's still alive here on the job site is that one's not. There is a network engineer at Tycomic still open. Client device specialist. I have another one open at OSF. DevOps. This is Montel Technologies. Is looking for a candidate to join the team. Front end and back end programmers on all different languages. And if you don't know the languages they need you to learn or need you to use, will help you learn it. There's a lot of companies that are doing now. Here's an online reference. Here's lynda.com, whatever. Learn the code, learn the stuff, do it. When I first started as an IT director and even as a programmer years ago, it was a big thing to send people to learn stuff. Now you just, you don't need to do that. There's so many resources now. You can pretty much learn, as you've already learned while you've been here, a lot of the resources you can learn yourself, coding-wise, online, or at least help you learn online. And so Montel is a local firm, and the gentleman that runs it is really a good guy, really heavily involved in Rock Valley College. He's needing interns, part-time and full-time positions, and we'll work around your school schedule as well. And then the other one, Trek, I don't believe they filled this yet, is an iOS app developer, a beginning developer. And you do have to have some developing language under your belt with iOS. But again, you don't have to be a guru or anything, just kind of understand some of the syntax. And Ebates has not got back with me yet, so I'll go in and go over that. It's a junior software developer in JavaScript and PHP. So again, that's just some of the jobs that are available. The other things on the website is CIS advisor. Stephanie Washer is our advisor. That's Stephanie right there. She's very open to help students, and she gets paid to do it. And so if you have questions about your schedule, you want to know, hey, can I substitute this class for my degree? She's a person to talk to. And you can literally go to this site here, this page, say I'm interested in whatever degree, or you're already in a degree, fill out this information. It'll go right to her, myself. And if she's not available, I can help you. But normally she's available, and she'll sit down and talk to you about anything advisor related. Now, you might be thinking, well, I've been to Rock Valley College advisors, and they're good, right? But Stephanie works for our division in CIS, so she's particularly skilled in what courses you need to take. Maybe advisors might not know that. and might not be, you know, as skilled as far as knowledge on what courses you can swap out and things like that. Because if you didn't know this already, if you're taking a degree track of any type, and let's say you needed, I don't know, let's say you needed this class, CIS277, and it wasn't offered this semester, but you needed to graduate this semester, and you need to swap out a 4 credit hour programming class to something else, you can do that. That's definitely a doable thing, which most students are aware of. So you can swap out something if we are not offering it that semester with something else. And Stephanie's the one that can help you with that. The other thing I'll mention on this is underneath the My CIS area, going down to About CIS. There's, in fact, it's at the bottom of every page. Our iOS and Android apps both are available for the My CIS division, and a Memory Maze app that has kind of a Flappy Birds type of front end, and where you can select if you're interested in changing degrees or interested in a degree. It will lead you in the right direction. So it's myreceipt.org. Avail yourself to that. Bookmark it. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, because anytime we post any jobs or events, you'll be alerted. Also talking about events, there is some events coming up I want to make mention. Hour of Code, February 6th is Tuesday. 1 hour of coding challenge. You guys are already in coding, so you'd like this. It's fun. It's a fun hour of drag and drop coding. And there's other kids there like a lot younger than you that you could probably help out, like 5, 6 years old, which is kind of cool. It's not uncommon at this hour of code to have whole rows of families come, like mom, dad, or I actually had last time, grandma, grandpa, mom, dad, and 5 kids. It was crazy. It took up a whole row, but they had a good time. And it was Minecraft, which, you know, Minecraft's like the top one that we do. It's like sold out every time. But if you'd like to come and help out, maybe not participate and do the coding, but I think you'd have fun doing that anyway. But if you want to help out, you can do that. Just show up. It's at the RR Star building, downtown Rockford Register Star, 2nd floor. You do have to RSVP. It doesn't cost anything. If you click on the link here, it'll take you to a page to where you can go down and RSVP to that event. And while you're at this page, and you go to the RSVP, it'll actually have all the future dates available for that. And you can see that we've got them out through, let's see here, I think I've got them out through December. Now starting in June 5th, 3rd, July 3rd, August 7th, and possibly September 4th, we're going to be at Cherryville Mall on those dates. I just met with the director of marketing there, and we're going to be at the center court at Cherryville Mall. They're providing all the tables, the power, the internet connection, which I think is pretty cool at no cost, and we're able to do the hour of code out there. And so avail yourself to that. Again, I always can welcome volunteers. I've had folks in here that have volunteered for those over the years. So any help I can get, I will take it. And you can also, you know, if you volunteer at all of them, you know, throughout the semester, it can be used as an intern type of volunteer position as well. Questions on that?
Is that a class that February 6th?
Do what now?
Is that a Rock Valley class that February 6th? I have class that time.
Oh, you have class?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bummer. I try to make it to where everybody can get it, but it's impossible. Yeah, it's impossible to do. Anyway, so that's myreceipt.org. I want to mention in our course site, on the root of the site, course resources, the creator of C++, Bjorn Strostrup, if you click on that link, it will take you to his wonderfully graphical website. So, but you know, he's a true programmer, so he doesn't really care about looking nice here. But a lot of information. He is the inventor, creator of C++ language, and he is currently the managing director of technology at Morgan Stanley in New York City and visiting professor in computer science at Columbia University. And I've emailed him, nice guy, and he will reply back, by the way. And so really, really a cool guy, and really passionate about not only teaching, but sharing any knowledge you might have. And so, which is rare today that you find somebody that's like that. So anyway, that's he's got a lot of good information on here, from free books, free resources, stuff like that. He will also sells books as well, but he has a lot of free stuff too. All right, so we are in week 3, and over conditions, we saw that in the quiz. The reading for this week, chapter 7 through 9 in modern C++, chapter 8 in practical C++. Solo Learn this week is on data types, arrays, and pointers. Looks like you guys are having fun with that one. I'll go over a few of the slides here. Okay, so again, the first few weeks, refresher, we will be getting more intermediate advanced content as the semester goes on. We also have quite a bit to cover tonight. After we go over a few slides, we'll do some examples. I'll have you change those examples. Then we'll have everybody sign up to GitHub. If you've not already done so in other classes, I'll show you how to do that. I'll show you how to create a really quick web page in GitHub that you'll use for your final app, kind of holding place for the content of what your app's going to do for the final project in the class. So anyway, the for statement is, as far as syntax related, as far as argument, the word for, and then in parentheses, the initial statement, semicolon, condition, semicolon, and what iteration it might be. Might be iteration of increase, might be iteration of decrease. It's equivalent to initial statement while, condition, and then some statement in the body, and then some iteration. And we'll look at both tonight in our examples. So in this one here, we have a for versus while. And so in the main is top main anyway, you've got a counter at 0. While count is less than 5, it's going to increment it by 1 each loop. And it's going to kick out the grand total is total here. You'll also know it's on the main, another for loop example, different way to do it, but does the same outcome. For count equals 0, count less than 5, it's going to increment each time it loops. So switch statement, one of the questions on the quiz, there was the break statement and the default statement. So if you have a switch statement that is not met by one of the cases, you're going to have a default to break it. If you don't have a break statement, by the way, like these here, it's going to go on to the next, even though one has fulfilled that requirement. On this one here, on a switch using a care operator. So the care plus, minus, times, divisional. And it's also keeping does an if statement inside of this one if it's caught to determine if it's a divide by 0 or not, which that's a good idea to catch those. And then lastly, if none of these cases match the care operator, it couts unknown operator to the screen. Ending breaks, break is not required at the end of a case, but it's a not so good example of programming on this one here, where you've got the first case, well, without a break, it's going to go to the second case. So if it goes to this, which is 1, if it goes to that one, it will stop. So on this one here, it says, did the programmer intend to fall through case 0, or did he forget to break? Depending on what the program needs possibly. It could be that he forgot it, could be he didn't, depending on what's needed for that program. This one here is called a fall through. Is what it's called on that case 0. And so fall throughs a lot of times are used for, like in this case, a resetting or a reinitializing of a value or of a variable to reloop again, possibly. So in this example here, it's adding a case fall through to where it's going to fall through. If it hits 0, it's going to fall through to 1. It'll hit 1, 2, or 3, depending upon the output of that. If it's 1, it's going to stop. If it hits 2, it's going to continue on and work and close down. But problem with this one is that because it has a break only in 1, the logic really isn't valid. Talks about if it happens if it controls 5, the switch does nothing. Did the programmer intend for this to happen or not, or is an accident? Again, that's a rhetorical question or a subjective question. Default is required even if it's only like default break, just to end the select statement altogether. So this example here has a while and has 1 in the parentheses. CI enter operator number. They have to enter a char value. If operator is Q, it breaks. Goes to the switch statement. And notice on the switch statement, if it breaks, well, before we go to switch statement, that red line goes all the way down to the bottom, and it's going to go to the end of program return 0. If it's not a Q, it's going to go to the switch and determine whether it's a plus or an H to help. The plus is going to increment the result value. The H is going to put some comment or some information to help the user. Now I want us to look at, because we have a lot to do here as far as stuff and in-class stuff. I have 4 examples, if you'll go to that page in week 3 module. 4 examples. We have 2 for loops and 2 do while loops. Each one of these examples we will look at, and then I'll have you modify it, and I'll kind of walk around to make sure you get it. And so let's go ahead and go on the first one, which is the C4 loops, this first link. And this one here is a for loop that right now in the for statement, it's for A is equal to 10, while A is less than 20, it's going to increment by 1. And it's going to kick out starting with 10 all the way up to what number without running it? What number is going to stop at? Notice here, there's a clue here. 19, yep. So let's go ahead and run it and see if that's the case. So notice value of A is 10 all the way to value of A is 19. What I want you to do to play around with this, I want you to change it to show, instead of 10 to 19, I want you to change it to show 1 to 20. But before you do that, let me just talk about a couple things. One is the decrement, and increment. Right now we're doing a increment value. And so if I wanted to start with a value of 1 instead of 10, and notice here it loops after each iteration. I want to start with 1. What do I need to change A to? 1. Good. Now, while it's less than 20, I want to go from 1 to 20. So I need to change that to something else besides 20. 21. So right now, let's stop with the logic and look at it. And then the other 3 I'll have you do on your own, but we'll do this one together. So for A is equal to 1, while A is less than 21, it's going to increment. So it should start out with value of A1 through value of A20, if everything's working right. And then let's go ahead and play to see if that's the case. There we go. So let's just play with a little bit more, even though it's not in your comment here. Let's go ahead and take it reverse logic, 20 to 1. All right, now here's a little difference on that one, and you can lock up your code if you don't do this one right. So instead of using the increment operator, which is a plus plus, which one should we use before we do anything else? Which one should we use instead of the increment in this one? you think?
Also equal.
Well, we're wanting to decrease by 1 each time. Right, the decrement, which is, again, instead of plus plus, it's what? Minus minus. So let's change that first. So I'll leave that. I'll do that for you. Let's see if you can do the rest of it. You will have to change the value of the initial value of A, and in the middle, you have to change the logic as well. But I want us to go from, I'm going to change this from 20 to 1. We're going to do reverse. Okay, 20 to 1. I'll leave that up there for just a second. I'm not going to change anything on mine yet. I'll see how you do. Just take a moment to think about it. I've already helped you with the decrement. But definitely you'll need to change these two values here for that to work correctly. Again, we're starting with 20 and going to 1. And the middle operator, too, we'll also need the middle argument operator here. This one right here, got to be changed to an argument lesser than, got to be changed. So give you a moment to play with that, and then I'll put the answer up here in a second. Right. If you want to see how I did it. A equals 1. Y is less than 21. Or A equals to 20. Y is greater than 0. It's going to decrement each time. And it's going to start with 20 and work its way down to 1. The last one's going to be a last loop that's not going to run. It's going to stop at 0. It's not going to run 0. It'll stop at the 1. Good. Next, I want to look at this example, which is the next for loop. Do what now? Oh, my screen's not frozen? Oh, sorry. Thank you. There we go. Next example is the for loop. I didn't give you that other one, did I? The screamer's frozen. Hang on, let me show you the other one. There we go. I don't know if you saw that one. So starting with 20, working to 1. A equals 20, while A is greater than 0. Decrement, decrement. And then it's going to a for loop from 20 to 1. Next is another for loop. This one here, the loop goes while x is less than 10, and x increases by 1 every loop. And so in the for loop, let's go over that in line 11. For n x is equal to 0, while x is less than 10, it's going to increment. So it's going to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and it's going to stop. 10 is going to be too hard. So we go ahead and run it. And the cin.get's just to stop the operator on the last one. Cin.get eat line. So what I want us to do is reverse this logic. I want you to go from 10 to 0 instead of 0 to 9, 10 to 0 instead of 0 to 9. Go and do that. Again, you will be using the decrement decrement. You'll be changing this number here. You'll be changing the argument here, and the value in the middle of that argument will also be changed. Okay, so I'm reading my screen here. So what I did mine was to get from the x initialized at 10, while x is greater than 0, to the decrement. We'll keep on going down. So from 10 to 1, it stops at 0. It has to be greater than 0 in the middle argument of that for loop. So again, conditional statements. You can be careful, need to be careful, conditional statements. You can do what's called an infinite loop in a conditional statement, which, by the way, in Replit, if you ever do that, which I've done before, you can just go up to the browser and just refresh that page. It'll remember where you're at and stop running it. So if you ever do that. In fact, just for fun, to see if we can crash Replit's web server. No, just kidding. What's an easy way I could change this, anybody, to go into an infinite loop? Anybody, there's no wrong. I mean, there's no just one answer. There's not just one answer. There's a lot of answers we could do. What is it? I'm going to use a for loop in this.
Put a semicolon. Got all.
What is it now?
Take out all the areas, put a semicolon.
Just take all this out?
And put a semicolon.
Just put semicolons? Okay. See what happens there. Stop that. Not going to work. Because again, it needs some value on that one. On the X is what it's looking for here. I'll go back. What was you had? I'm sorry.
I have while.
So while X is equal to 1?
Just like he said, just
Oh, okay. Let's see here. Let's just do,
Leave the.
we can just do x equals to 1 and then leave those other two blank, right? That would work. There we go. Now we're in business. Again, it's going to keep going down, down, down. But what you can do is basically, because this stops sometimes it doesn't. You just put your cursor up here at the top and hit enter. And it should reload that page. So again, I just said for n equals 1, it's going to continue looping, loop, 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 because there's no increment or decrement. Put it back to where it was. Let's see, we'll do 10. There we go. Okay. Next. Oh. I just shut up my page. You guys still have it up in front of you. We'll do the next one. So the next one is the do while. Okay, this one here is using the do while. We're declaring x as nothing right now. Then it's initializing with no value. Then x has a value of 10. In this do while here, notice we're doing something while something is true. Okay, so in this one, it's printing out the hello world. And then this one, actually, it'll print it out even if the condition is false. Okay, and so right now, x not equal to 10. Well, it's going to always be 10 because we hard-coded here on number 9 to be 10. So if I run this, and you can run it with me, hello world should just kick out one time only. So what I want you to do is change the logic, change 9 on line 9, x to 0. And then on line 15, add an increment to this to increment by 1. And let's do this. Leave everything like it is. X equals to 0, and then increment by 1, and see what happens. On line 15, we're going to increment x by 1. Make sure and put the semicolon on the end of that increment operator. And you can increment in different form or fashion. So all I need you to do is change the value of x to 0 on line 9. And then on line 15, I want you to increment x by 1 each loop. And it should give us a hello world of 10 times, if I'm not mistaken, when we're finished. And there is going to be multiple ways to do the increment. I'll show you a couple ways here in just a second. Okay, we're incrementing x by 1. So x equals 1. X Oops, to increment x by 1. No, there's a couple ways to do it. I'll show you. Which one you do? Which one? Okay, well, let me show you a couple of the different ways that you can increment 15. So on mine, I did x plus equals 1. It's going to increment it with this plus equals 1 operator, 1 each loop. And it's going to loop it, do a do while loop till x is not equal to 10. Okay? While x is not equal to 10. Once it reaches 10, then it's going to stop. Okay? And so the other way you could have incremented it is on line 16, x equals x plus 1. I'll comment that out. 15 and put 16 in there. This works as well. Yes. Oh, yeah, make it bigger. Yeah, definitely. And this is being recorded too, by the way, as always. But let's see. Let's don't make it that big. This will be a little better. Tell me if this is better or worse. That's probably worse. That's going to be really big. Better, worse back there? Better? Okay. And let me see if this thing keeps out. Okay, it's still going. Okay, so see the difference on the increments that you could use? Good. All right, let's do another example. Last example, which is another while loop, the fourth and last example. So this one here basically, again, does an illustration of a do while. On this one, initialize I as a value of 2. And in the do while loop, it says it's going to do kick out a hello world statement, do an increment, which is another way it can be done here as well, while I is less than 1. Okay, so the first time it comes through, I is going to be 2. I is less than 1 there. Second time, I is going to be 2, which is not going to be less than 1, and it's going to be true. So we run this. Hello world will be kicked out once. So what I want you to do is change the below to show the hello world 3 times instead of 1 time. And so you will need to change a couple of values there in that statement. So again, you're changing hello world to show instead of 1 time, 3 times. So take a moment to do that. Time comes through, change that from 2 to 1. 0, 1, 2, 2. Starts at 0. 0. Stop. 2, 2, 0. Okay. Let's see what we got here again. So I did this one was I just changed the value of I to 0. And while I is less than 3, left the increment operator in there. And voila, you have the 3 hello worlds. Next. Let's click next on our page. Click next again. All right. So your assignment, I've actually updated, I think, up to week 5 or 6. From now on, instead of a challenge on your assignments each week, what we're going to do is add in what's called creativity points. So you can add in other functions, validations, etc. But if you add more to the application, that's what's required. Just let me know in here, besides just saying done, say done and I did this. That makes sense? So I'll kind of know what you did. That way I can give you extra credit for that. So the loops talks about in this assignment, again, reiterating what we went over in class, a little bit more on loops on the comments. And so goes through a whole bunch of loop examples and some code you have to put in for some loops throughout. And then starting on this one here on line 61 is the actual program. Okay. And so this one here can be creative as you want to and just do some fun stuff with loops, really is what I'm wanting you to do on this one. And again, just using the power of loops, using the power of iterations, and doing some practice on this one for sure before you get to the actual bottom part where it does a password array push out on a for loop. So this one, you're, again, freedom to do what you want to manipulate it, to make it different. And that's what I want you to do with this one. All right. Next, final app idea. Okay, so your final app idea, the reason I'm having you do it this week is you're going to be being able to work on it from here on out. And the final week of class, you'll be presenting your final app. And so think of an app idea without thinking of code right now at all, or whether you can do it or not in code right now at all, because I can give you helps and examples and things of that nature. Now, granted, we are using a console-based type of application for this one, but I don't really care about code right now. I care about just the idea of what you want your app to do, okay, functionality-wise. It could be a database app. It could be a recipe app. It could be keeping a game score app, whatever it is you desire to do, really. And I do this on my programming classes. Whatever it is you decide to do, and we don't go over this semester in class, I will help you with those criteria that you need to complete your app, if that makes sense. Okay? That way you're not pigeonholed into content that we cover to complete your app, if that makes sense. So really, if you think about it, you're with your final app, you're actually tailor making kind of what you want to learn in a way, as far as in your final app idea, and then build upon that after the end of the semester and keep working on it, if that makes sense. So But before we get into the final app idea, this is, again, you don't need to do this tonight, and I don't want you to submit your final app tonight, but be thinking about it. And I will, you know, give you time to do that. You have through Sunday to finish it. If you want to change it, take time. Today is what, Monday? So take time. I would say wait all the way till Sunday to submit it, the idea. And right now, I want you to be as open as possible with the idea. I don't want you to be granular in the app idea right now. Just kind of be open. And then what I'll do is at some point, I will meet with you individually and say, okay, we're in week 8 or whatever, 10, whatever. Let's get this, find out what you can do between now and the end of the semester to actually have something completed, type of thing. There's going to be things probably in that first idea that you're not going to be able to implement, but don't worry about that right now. I don't care about that right now. So sky's the limit right now in your ideas, if that makes sense. Then you'll limit down kind of like version 1, what you're going to present. And really, even though you have a number of weeks to start working on it, at the end of the day, it's still going to be like a prototype. It's not going to be totally functional. I understand maybe some pieces aren't working yet, but the idea is fleshed out and you're starting to work on it, if that makes sense. And that's the main thing. Because I found out in programming, if you try to limit your creativity by what you know, you're never going to create anything. You never will. You can't limit your creativity by knowing what you know. You limit creativity. You be creative by just doing it and saying, this is what I'm going to do. Whatever it takes to learn it, I'll learn it, period. Right? That's the attitude you have to have. And you can do it too, by the way. Whatever it is you decide to do, whatever you set your mind to do, I will help you reach that plateau at the end of the semester where you can say, hey, I got a working prototype, and keep working on it to hopefully publish the App Store someday. But before we do that, again, be thinking about that between now and Sunday. Now, here's some sources to help you with Final App Idea. Probably already thought of this one, but maybe you haven't. App Store. Look at all the stuff in the App Store, in the mobile app stores for iOS, Android, Windows, whatever. The most popular, definitely number 1, Android 2, iOS 3, Windows, as far as popularity, as far as apps go, as far as how many apps are actually in the world out there. So you look at apps that you currently use for inspiration. Also, talk to your family and friends, coworkers about apps that they've had ideas about. And a conglomerate of all of that I've already mentioned, you'll come up with a cool app idea for sure. If you don't already have one, somebody already have a cool app idea probably. Yes?
So, is this realistically, is this going to happen? Terminal program?
Yeah, the app will be a terminal program, but I've been thinking about it. I might open it up to more. So if you say you want some type of gaming app and you wanted to create that in C++, I'm going to help you with it. So right now, don't let that be a deterrent.
So it could happen.
Yes, could have a GUI interface. Yes, for sure, definitely. Yeah, good question. Any other questions? So think of the app idea like I just mentioned, and hopefully those things will help you think of an app idea. And then I will help you reach those. I'll have certain milestones that you'll reach throughout the semester to where come presentation day at the end of the semester, you'll be ready to present whatever it is that you want to present in whatever form you have it. And again, I don't expect completion of your app by the end of the semester. I expect a working prototype is what I expect. And a working prototype is basically something that is a shell of what it's going to be, okay? Has some working components maybe, but it's not complete. I don't expect that at all, okay? So creating a GitHub. With a GitHub account, or what GitHub is first, I guess, is a online source control for all different types of applications. So C++, mobile apps, Java, JavaScript, HTML, PHP. And so I use GitHub in pretty much all of my courses I teach. As a programmer, I use GitHub every day to submit code and do testing, have folks do testing and things of that nature, submit bugs. And so GitHub is a great thing because it's totally free to sign up for. And as a student, you can get 5 private repos, is what they call them, which is repositories of your code. For our purposes of your final app, you'll be using GitHub for 2 ways. One is to store your source code for sure. By the end of the semester, you'll upload it there. Second, though, you'll use it as a way to promote your app and to promote what your app does from a GitHub page. Okay. You can use your personal email in just a second to sign up to GitHub, or a student email, either one. By the end of this in-class, what I'm going to have everybody do is, when you create your GitHub account and you create your GitHub URL for your final web page, and we're just going to be generic in the final web page of the app. We're going to call it Final App, which is pretty generic. But everybody will have a unique URL of that Final App web page, basically, by the end of tonight. And it won't take real long to do. So are you ready? All right, so first thing you want to do is open up a new tab in your web browser. And you want to go to github.com, github.com. And let me minimize my text a little bit here. You'll notice I'm already logged in as me, but I'm going to log out just so you'll see how to get into this. All right, so as soon as you should see this page, you should have exactly what I have on your page. If you click on sign up on the upper right corner, it'll take you to this page where you'll put in a username, put some thought into that, your email address, password, and then click create account. The plan you're going to choose is going to be free. I'm going to try to sign up to a brand new one with you guys so you can I'll walk with you on it. Okay, I just created one from an email I have for Girls Through Code, which is chuck@conkle@rockfordgwc.com. And I'm going to choose the unlimited public repository for free. Don't choose the unlimited private for 7. Unlimited for free. Once you get to this page here, make sure it looks like mine. It should already be checked just like that. You don't have to check anything else. You're just ready to go ahead and click on the continue button once you have got to that stage here. Give you a moment to do that. How many still working on that? Okay. All right. Now, the next screen goes over different things you'll be using GitHub for. I would say for most of you, you're going to choose totally new to programming or somewhat experienced, one of the two. What do you plan to use GitHub for? I would say school projects for now. And then what is closest to you and subscribe yourself? I would say I'm a student. So I chose totally new to programming, school projects, and I'm a student on mine. And then where it says what you're interested in, you can just actually type in there if you want to. You just type in there final app, all one word. And it'll just put a little tag in there basically. And then submit it. Not ready, not done yet. Now what I need you to do, once you've done that and you're signed in, you should see the little on the upper right corner of GitHub, a signed in thing like I've done on mine for RBC Student. Leave that tab open and open another tab and just Google this term in Google, GitHub Education. GitHub Education. And when you Google GitHub Education, it's going to give you, I believe, that very top link, which is education.github.com. The kicker on this one is, let me click on mine here, which is the first link, GitHub Education Learn to Code. If I scroll on down where it says Get the Student Developer Pack, dozens of free resources from companies to help students learn. The blue button, Get the Pack. Got a whole bunch of stuff in it here. Let's see here. The problem is this: if you don't have, if you did not use a school issued email, school issued email or a valid student identification card or other proof of enrollment. I guess you have all three. I guess you can use. Once you go down though and click to get your pack, the final one, it's where it asks you, are you really a student? And I think it gives you, it's more of a, taking your word for it type thing, I believe at this point. You just have to be over 13, which I think everybody is. And teachers, researchers, faculty, staff, and other educational users can get free and discounted access to GitHub. For the pack, if you're not a student, you can still request it for education. So go ahead and say, yes, I am a student. And then it says verify academic status. If it says I don't have an email, you can upload it. If it isn't listed, which mine isn't because I set up another one, you can click this add and verify, which you're going to have to use your S number basically at that point. So I'll click on the add and verify. And here's where you can add in your email address, your school email address, which I'll put mine in there. It will send you an email, though, to verify that you actually have that email address. So you're going to do the S number at student.rockvalleycollege.edu. And I'm going to use mine, so that won't work, but you guys can use yours. And it's not a big deal to get the student thing right now because all of ours are going to be public anyway. I'll give you a moment or two to see if you can fill that out. How many use your Rock Valley College email to sign up? One person, two people? Okay. Well, we might skip that one then. And then you can do that later at home if you want to, because it'll take a little bit to upload stuff maybe. So do this for me. Yes, question. What's the benefit? You get 5 private repos, meaning by default, a free account gets all public. So everything you put up there is going to be public for everybody to see, which is fine for what we're doing in here. But the 5 repos are nice to where you can, like say that final app, if you want to put it in that final repo, your private code that where nobody's going to access it. That's a good way to use that. That makes sense.
Does that last forever?
Yeah. The private one will last as long as you, unless you change the email in your account, your Rock Valley College email, it will stay there unless you change it. Or you can upgrade it to later on, like I said earlier, to the $7 a month thing, which is unlimited. But I've had students have their GitHub educational account for like 5 years after they left here. Just make sure and don't take it out or change it, and then you're good. You can keep up to 5 because I think it's unlimited for $7 a month or something, but 5 with your educational email. Make sense? So on this one here, if you want, just to expedite things tonight, I know most of you didn't sign up with your RBC email, so you have to either upload or validate your email later. But you can do that at home. I do want us to get right into, though, your account. So go ahead and just click on wherever you're at, your your account here, which you'll notice mine. If you click on your profile on this little drop down, it'll take you to the URL that you have now that's yours. Mine is, I just signed up for, is github.com/RVC student. Okay, that's my new one. So what I'm going to do right now, just to show you how easy this is, we're going to create a repo, and then we're going to create a web page with that repo. So first thing I need you to do is click on repositories, which is right now 0. You have 0 repositories. And does everybody see the new button, this new green button here? Everybody see that? If you'll click on the new green button, notice it says on mine, I have to verify my address, which you all have to do as well if you haven't. So let me do that on my phone. You can do that on yours, because you have to verify your email before you can add a repo. So I'm going to verify whatever email you use to sign up. You'll need to go to that email to verify that you are who you say you are. So I'm going to do that on mine. You do that on yours. And if this is not in yet on ours, I'm going to hit resend verify on mine. I'm going to resend it to see if it sends it quickly. Okay, I got it. I'm going to verify my email address. And you will need to, if you're doing it from your computer, it should recognize it on Mac. I'm doing mine from my phone, so I have to log in via my phone with my username and password, which username is your email, password you just created. All right, mine should hopefully be verified now. Let's see here. All right, you know you're verified whenever you can click the new button and you see this screen here after you click the new button. You're able to see create new repository. For the final repository name, for this one, we're just going to do final app. It's going to be the name, which it should be available because it's your first repository. Make sure yours looks like mine. It's public. Final app is the name, all lowercase. That's fine. Cool. All right, so final app, looks like everybody get that typed in. As soon as you type in final app, make sure it's public. Check mark the initialize this repository with a README. If you've already went further than that, I can show you how to do that in just a second. So I'm going to create repository button now, which should go to this page here. Those of you that did not check the README, there should be a link in here to create a README for you. If not, I'll come around later and help you with that. Okay, so first thing we're going to do now is we're going to go up to the settings menu where my mouse is hovering over on the overhead. If you'll click on the settings menu, scroll down to where you say GitHub pages right here. So settings, scroll down to GitHub pages, and we're going to go underneath the area that says source, where it says GitHub pages is currently disabled. select a source below to enable GitHub pages for this repository. This is what we're going to use, by the way, to create the web page. So click the None drop down and select Master Branch. All right, and then click Save. Scroll back down. And here you're going to choose a theme of your liking right now tonight. Underneath Theme Chooser, where mine is right here. Underneath Theme Chooser, click that button and select whatever theme you want tonight. You can change this later too, by the way. I'm going to choose the Time Machine, which looks like that. Okay. And I'm going to stop on mine for just a second and talk about this. The code on this is for GitHub is its own unique syntax, which is real easy to learn. So once you've selected your theme, just select Theme. And you'll notice on mine, which regardless what theme you select, there is some things we need to go over real quick. One is where it's you got an Edit tab and a Preview tab. If I click on both the Preview tab, it'll show you what the website looks like. Okay, in the Markdown, they call it GitHub Markdown, or Jekyll is the language. And it gives you examples of Markdown, what it is. So if you put a hashtag there in front of any line, it'll be header 1, 2 hashtags, header 2, 3 hashtags, header 3. A tilde, or no, just a dash is bulleted. Number, start with a number, it'll create number. If you put 2 asterisks before and after a word, it'll bold it. An underline before and after a word, it'll italicize it. If you put single quotes around anything, it'll actually give you the code colors for that. If you want to create a link, you just use the word link with brackets and then the URL and parentheses. So I'm going to go down here and I'm just going to replace welcome to hello pages. I'm just going to put in my final app. And until you know the language, I would suggest leaving everything else below the same for right now so you can kind of learn the language. Which, because you delete it, you can still find it if you Google it, but it's easier to kind of leave it there and kind of play with it later. So, excuse me, I just did my final app. I'm going to go in and enter on line 2. I'm going to put 1 pound symbol, and I'm going to put in my first and last name. In fact, let me do instead of 1, let me do 3 pound symbols. That way my final app's bigger than Chuck Conkle. So this is going to be a header 2. My final app's going to be header 2. Chuck Conkle's going to be header 3 with the 2 hashtags before it. Once you've done that, you can preview it. There it is. And then scroll down to the bottom and just commit your changes. And then what we got to do is go back to settings for me and scroll back down to that GitHub pages. There should be a link here where it says your site is ready to be published at, and that gives you a whole URL. That's the URL to your web page. So what I want you to do is copy that URL for me, highlight it and copy it. And on a Mac, when you highlight a link to copy it, it's the Command C on your keyboard. Command C will copy it. And then go back up to your code where my mouse is over here. Go back to your code area. Click on that. Then click on the edit button right here. This edit button right here, and I'll go over this one more time. We want to put where it says website, that website you just copied in website. And on description, just put in my final app. I put in my final app on description, the URL for that GitHub repo, which mine is rbcstudent.github.io/final app. Click save. Now, if I click on that link, it should take me to a much better looking page than what we had earlier on the preview, which is whatever theme you chose. Like mine, here's my theme. I have in there my final app, my name, and then all the markdown examples we'll keep in there. That URL that you just created, like mine there, that's what you're going to submit to the 3 final app ideas right now. Go ahead and submit that link. Make sure I have that available. It's a text entry, which is fine. And just submit the text entry for your GitHub repo. Don't worry about the final app idea yet. You can update that later by Sunday. That's fine. And let me walk around and see how you're doing on that. And you don't have to have any HTML experience to do this. That's why I chose this. Pretty easy to do. Oh, that's fine. Okay, both of you just go to settings. Scroll down the bottom where you see the GitHub images. I'll change theme. Select a theme of your choice. And did you save it? Okay. Then just hit select theme. Yeah. Now if you go back to your code, go back to settings. Branch, where's the master branch? Yeah, that's fine. Click on that link there. Okay, cool. So what it is, what you've done is go back to your, go hit that button, scroll up higher, go to code, see where the readme.md file is right there on that. Then click the pencil, you're now updating the page. See what you got. Scroll down. Did you choose a theme already? I'll go up to the top then, and we'll highlight that URL first. So it's down there. Not even highlight it. Settings. Settings again. Scroll down to see the URL to your site now. So your site is at that URL copy it. Yours. Once you copy, go back up to the code section. You can see both of you go to the code section and click on the edit button on the right. Right. And paste your URL in the website section. And on the description, put final app. And click save. I'll click on that link where it says final app to the right of it. Okay. That URL now on the top, copy that, copy your URL, and that's what goes into V3. As I come by, if you need help, let me know. I can help you on this. As most of you are getting that. Yeah.
So my email is
Okay. Yeah, you can do it later. And this is being recorded too, by the way.
Okay.
So you can go back and watch it. All right, cool. So here's the deal. Yeah, just submit it as a text link in there, and you can update the final app idea later. So, like on mine here, you can use the markdown syntax. And by the way, if you deleted all yours on accident, it's no big deal. Easy way to find the GitHub syntax is, again, Google's your friend. You can just type in Google, Jekyll, or you can just do syntax for web. They'll give a markdown. This first one here is pretty good. It's a markdown cheat sheet of all the different things you could do that you'd ever want to do in GitHub. This guy created one, Adam did. And so GitHub syntax web will give you all the syntax you ever wanted to know. And so you'll be updating this as the semester goes on with more description of your app, maybe an image of your app, and then eventually at the end of the semester, a link to your app to where it can be played. I think I talked about the first couple weeks in class. In coding, I believe wholeheartedly in interoperability of your code, meaning we're going to take your C++ app, whatever, whether it be a GUI-based, console-based, whatever, we're going to make it live online to where people can play it in a simulated environment. And a lot of different tools out there to do that with. Well, like Red Bull, like we're using this semester. A lot of other tools, even on the GUI side of things. So where we give you the wrapper and emulator around C++ to do online rendering of your code. And so I'll end with a funny story about GitHub, and then we'll be done for tonight. GitHub, as you already mentioned, to store your code. So, you know, anybody had their computer crash before? Hard drive dive? Your hard drive die in your computer, or memory, or whatever, you just pooped out. You ever had that happen? Well, that's where the beauty of GitHub is. Because regardless of where you go in the world now, we'll pretend that you just uploaded to GitHub an app you've been working on for 8 hours, okay? And your computer crashes. Well, your code's safe because it's on GitHub, okay? And one of the stories I'll share is the guy was getting married. He was engaged to be married. And one of his jobs was to create the website. Well, he was a programmer like you guys and gals, and he wanted to do it himself. So he created the initial template for the page on GitHub, like you guys used to. He uploaded the site, you know, because you can create an HTML page right there in GitHub, just like that URL that I had you guys put the little feed chooser. You can just put an index.html in the root of that code, and when you go to that link, your web page will just show the index.html page. That's all it'll show. And so that's what he did. He just had a basic template up, left it alone, checked it 3 months later, and his fiance was like, you know, he hadn't told her about the site, he hadn't worked on it. She was like, hey, it's a month out. How's the website doing? Well, so he just feverishly went to GitHub to look and start working on it. There were about 200 people contributed to the site in the last 3 months. We started, you know, getting suggestions on images and you know, little widgets and little cool things, you know, sign up gallery for the guests and all this stuff. It was awesome, you know, because that's one of the things about GitHub is when you have a public repo, other people can commit changes or suggestions to your GitHub, and then you just accept them, you know, or not accept them. And so he accepted most of the changes people had, and made a few minor alterations. An hour later, went to his fiance and goes, look what I did. I worked pretty hard the last 3 months, you know, working on it, and there it is. Well, you know, long story short, he finally admitted that he didn't do all this work. You know, he had help. But it's a cool story because it just shows the power of community, a GitHub community. You've literally got millions of programmers like yourself around the world that not only create little simple web pages like this, but very complex web pages or very complex applications, and they open that up to the world to see and to use, which I think is awesome. And you can contribute to it if you want to, which I think is great. So 80% of the coding I do on GitHub is totally open for anybody to see. There are some that are private, the apps I've got on the app stores and projects I'm currently working on with companies. Yeah, those are all private. But majority of my code, and you'll find this for most developers that have a lot of applications on GitHub, a lot of repos, most of their code's open, just totally public. Because there's something about community of not only helping others, but getting help in return. Because you can search for just about any type of app on GitHub in any language and find a pretty good example. or close to what it is you're needing help with, which is great. And you can just, like even in C++, or you can look for different types of examples in GitHub, download them and compile them and see how they work, play around with them. Everything from simple utilities, mapping, gaming, whatever the case may be. And so I thought I'd share that story with you because most of you are unfamiliar or just starting with GitHub. So again, it's a programmer's tool set to keep your code safe and to keep it safe wherever you go. Now, you'll learn as the semester goes on. I will add in other ways to use GitHub, like how to commit your code to GitHub, to where it's safe in that environment, especially your final code. And then that way, if your computer crashes or whatever, you have your code safe to where you can get to it. Make sense? So the GitHub Final App idea, hopefully you submitted that link. And then by Sunday, just submit the Final App idea and just go in here and edit your submission from tonight, and you'll be able to update that. Don't worry about, at this point, do not worry about GUI, non-GUI, code, understanding, logic, bells, anything related to code or anything related to layout. Don't worry about that. All I want is your idea, really, is all I want right now. We'll worry about all the other stuff later, and I will help you with whatever I need to help you with your final app. Make sense? Because we look at the layout of the semester, starting in week 13, you begin working full-time. You can work on it before then, but starting week 13 and 14, those 2 weeks, you get the entire weeks to work totally on 100% your app only, your final app only. I will still be here those nights to help you and whatever it might be, code helps, code examples, and then you'll present on the last session in here. So, make sense? All right, so let's see here. Final app idea, review questions, chapter 8, practical C++. I'll be posting review question answers for 1 and 2, or for weeks 1 and 2 here pretty quickly. And those postings for that are going to be at the bottom of the repo at the end of this. I'll put answers or something like that down here after 15. I just got finished grading, I think, up through week 2, some week 3, or no, all of week 2 should be graded. If you have anything yet to submit, you can definitely still submit it. Besides review questions, you also have your discussion as always, and that's it. Oh, and also a reminder on the assignment, if you add more to the assignment, which this week you're just playing around with loops, go in there and tell me what you did and submit it, and you'll get extra credit for that. Okay? Questions about anything this time? Yes. That's all right. You can come up and see me later. No problem. All right. Well, that's all I got for you. Remember, the podcast is posted. You have till Sunday to commit your final app idea. If you have any questions, come up and see me. Otherwise, see you next week. And if you did not check in, please come up and check in before you leave. Appreciate it.